what about curfews? Are they what happens? Do they send out radio? Do you hear on the radio or on television?
Yeah, it's generally, I think when there's an incursion into some city because they want to arrest somebody or they want to do something there, they would announce it. They go speakers and they're in their jeeps, and they would announce that there's a curfew for between the hours of between so and so, and that's how they let people know.
What's the do you usually pick different times for the curfew, or is it usually the same? Or
I don't. It really depends on what the operation itself and what they're planning to do.
Okay. Yeah. What else? Do you? I read in an article that in addition to curfews and checkpoints, they also have done, have demolished people's homes.
Yeah. That happens very frequently, especially in Gaza Strip. They've instituted this policy, I think 3 years ago, where they punish anybody who is somehow involved, or they know that they suspect is involved with any of the militant groups or carries any sort of bombing in Israel. That was they've instituted this policy to deter people from repeating or doing such actions. So they would demolish the entire family's house, so that they wanted people to think of the consequences of their actions, that it won't be only on them. It wouldn't be only that they would be arrested or they would die if it's a bombing, but their family will also suffer after them. So these things happen every other day. You read in the news, especially in Gaza Strip. There's some house demolished or a whole complex demolished.
Yeah. So what else? Because I read that the demolition, and also they forbid people to go to their land they own. They basically take it away.
Yeah, there's actually I just read an article about that a few days back, about a week ago. It was an Israeli activist group, a peace group from Israel itself, that published some results saying that a lot of the land that Israel has taken for settlements and the wall was just basically taken away from Palestinian farmers illegally. So they would do that. Sometimes they would just go through the land and destroy all the trees that are there. That's very common. It's been very common since the Second Intifada started, where they would just destroy somebody's land or take it away.
Or just take it away. Yeah. So all these actions, because we're looking at the topic was martial law, but then do you call this martial law? What Israelis, or is it more like an occupation, or like a military occupation of the territory? How do you see it?
I'm not
okay. Martial law is when the army tries to reestablish order, and an occupation is more like an invasion of a territory that's not the territory of the army that is occupying it. So I don't know if you guys have, because that's the one thing that we're trying to deal with, is if there's a difference between martial law and collective punishment or occupation in this case.
Yeah. Well, I really think that, as you just said, the distinction is very blurry in the first place, and in our case especially, it's even a lot more complicated, because I guess technically you can consider it an occupation, but we never really had a separate state run by a government to say that it's an occupation. So in that sense, you could argue that it's martial law, I guess, because we never really had a state. But it's been a convention since 1993, when the Palestinian Authority came, that certain areas which the West Bank, well, not entirely the West Bank, but certain parts of the West Bank are governed by the Palestinian Authority, and but since the latest Intifada, they've kind of taken control of many parts of it, and it is, I think, by the UN, it's recognized as an occupation.
Do you know a website? This is, you're talking about the Intifada. Do you know a website that's called the Electronic Intifada?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, I found it on the research, and they publish everything that has to do with injustices and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So.
there's many websites.
Yeah, but that's one that they kind of mention more, and it looks pretty. It looks pretty professional,
Mm-hmm.
the way they handle it. But then on the internet, I think you can do that several times. What else? I guess that's it. Yeah. I guess. I mean, I wanted mostly to know about your personal experiences with, and you say that it's like a daily thing, or like that you've grown used to it to an extent.
Yeah, exactly. You grow accustomed to it, and well, I actually haven't been home in a year and a half, and I'm sure a lot has changed in the past year and a half. And but usually when I go home, because I've been abroad for the past 5 years or so, and I go home every summer, try to go home every summer. Yeah, when I notice it really when I first go back, it's kind of shocking that having to go through all these checkpoints and going somewhere that would ordinarily take 15 minutes, and it would take 40-45 minutes is at first really shocking, but then it becomes normal again by the end of the summer or the end of vacation there, and you kind of get used to it myself. So there was a huge uprising against or a lot of complaints against that particular checkpoint between the West Bank. Between Jerusalem and Ramallah. When it first started, but then now it's become it's just normal. People go through it, so as long as they let people go through, people are not really complaining.
So in the West Bank, do you feel a lot of? So you're saying that you don't feel a lot of tension going on, or people are still like?
Obviously there is, but there's a lot more tension, a lot more complaints at the beginning of anything. So when they first start the checkpoint or the permanent ones, people complain about it. There's a lot of chaos that takes place in the area, but then a few weeks, a month, people kind of get used to it, and then they just have to go on with their lives and go to work. Yeah. But instead of taking one transportation to get there, we have to take 2 or 3, and that also becomes normal.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think we're gonna have it